Hey everyone, it's Electra. It's a very sad day today in, the United States in particular, really the whole aviation world. I mean, this catastrophic event last night, Washington D.C. with the CRJ regional jets and the Blackhawk helicopter colliding 200 or 300 feet above the ground from what it sounds like. And I'd like to speak about it as somebody who has been a part of the aviation world and airlines in particular, really for my whole life. I was in an airline family, and I've been a pilot since I was 15 years old. So I think I've been around this industry long enough to know. And last time I flew an airplane was in early 2011, in large part due to my worsening mental conditions that in a lot of ways were caused, I think, by the subconscious realization of what the future was going to be for that industry. I couldn't put words to it at the time, but I didn't feel good about the future. I couldn't really figure out why or how, but I know looking back now that I didn't think it was going to fare well in an age of societal decay and decline, which has rapidly accelerated now. I didn't think the industry would last as long as it did. I think COVID really should have been a revolutionary moment in the airline industry, but instead it was bailed out with government funds, and no meaningful changes happened. It's inherently a very straight-laced conservative industry, and it's very much against their culture to change and update with the times, which is not a good quality. No industry that's ever been like that succeeds long term. The NTSB press conference didn't give me any optimism that this will be an unbiased investigation. They're a nonpartisan organization, ostensibly, but no one wants to be in Trump's direct line of fire. Frankly, I think Trump was more honest in his press conference this morning than anybody that was speaking at the NTSB press conference. Now I know, Trump's a loose cannon, and that's part of the reason so many people love him, despite everything he's causing us right now. And the NTSB, they're just like any other working stiff in this country. They kowtow, they toe the line, and no one can speak their mind. And that's why I feel like I'm going to speak my mind, because no one else can, and I'm sick of it. I am so sick of living in a world where people know things are fucked up and no one wants to do a goddamn thing about it, as long as they get their paycheck every 2 weeks and they have their health insurance that we shouldn't even need to work a job for. And now 67 innocent people are dead, and this is the first airline crash on the United States soil, or in this case, the Potomac River, in 16 years, okay? It's 2009 was the last incident or crash that happened, let's be honest. And I don't like to use the word accidents because there's almost no accidents in life, as I have said numerous times on this channel. Every crash in history was no real true accident. I can't think of any case off the top of my head. Almost any crash you study, there was a clear cause. And 2009 was a very different cultural moment in this country. It was the first year of Barack Obama's presidency. The reactionary right, MAGA, what would later become MAGA, was just in its infancy. It was first called the Tea Party. I remember this, especially living in Texas at the time. It was starting to happen, and it was all a direct result of the election of Barack Obama. And this is going to be a really, really enlightening event that's really going to show us the difference between now and then. And I think people are going to be shocked. 2009 was still a time of relative hope. Government agencies felt like they were truly independent, and truth kind of mattered. I'm not so sure that's going to be the case now. The NTSB, there were a few moments in the press conference that I felt like they copped a bit of an attitude, for lack of a better word, with the press. That's never a good sign. That's very MAGA coded now. Anyone who wants to be like that towards the press, I instantly lose my respect for. But of course, like, they don't want to speculate. I understand that. It's pretty clear at this time that whatever happened, I don't see how any of this can be laid on the faults of the CRJ flying. It was PSA Airlines flying passengers for American Airlines, and they did everything that I think they could do. I don't think there was anything they could have done to avoid this. Obviously, there's still a lot more things to find out, but just from knowing my knowledge of being a former airline pilot, I've been in that situation hundreds, if not thousands of times. And if they were caught from a right quartering helicopter, there's no way they could have seen it. The helicopter had all 100% of the responsibility to see and avoid that regional jet. And they didn't do that, which is insane. Airline travel, as people like to point out, is the safest mode of travel that human beings have ever devised. But what they don't say is that you're only as safe as the least safe pilot in your vicinity. And from what I'm seeing over the last several years, our military safety record is far inferior to the civilian airline world. And unfortunately, it's like when you're driving. You can be the best driver in the world, but if somebody is not driving well, it doesn't matter. You're only as safe as the least safe driver on that road within, let's say, a half-a-mile radius of you. And it's been a trend in our society now for a long time that we don't find out critical things. Like the Las Vegas shooting in 2017. No, hardly anyone remembers it now, but we never really found out what caused it or what it was about, what their motivation was. I don't believe that they don't know. They just don't want us to know. And we're just in a state where the government and all of its agencies they don't think they have to share information anymore. They don't think they need to be unbiased or truthful. The organizations like the NTSB were always designed to be that way and be nonpartisan, but then again, so is our Supreme Court, and look how that's going. So that's just my quick little synopsis of that. They didn't have much else to say because detail-wise, they don't know much. The press was asking a lot of questions that they just can't possibly know yet. Yeah, it's going to be months, possibly up to a year, until there's a final report about this. Which in this day and age may as well be decades. I mean, this month of January alone has felt like 6 months. I still can't believe it's not over yet. But yeah, it's a hard day because anyone that's been around the airlines and flying is it's tough because we all know someone who has been killed doing what we've done, and Really, it could have been any of us. We just never were quite in the wrong place at the wrong time. I've had many close calls. I almost had my own midair collision when I was 18 years old, training for my commercial pilot license in Daytona Beach, Florida. I was 18. I didn't know yet that I needed glasses. I remember it was like my freshman year of college. I never had glasses before that, and then somehow right on when I turned 18 and went to college, my eyesight, I became nearsighted. I couldn't see anything. I couldn't see things like road signs anymore. I couldn't see what street signs were, what was on them. But it didn't really strike me that anything was wrong. I just kind of like kept living, it happened so gradually, I didn't even realize how bad my eyes got. And I do want to say that even though the helicopter was supposed to see and avoid, and there were two people there, I was flying my plane solo, single pilot, and I was in the traffic pattern, doing some night landings, night takeoffs and landings, and it was a nice clear night. You just kind of keep your eyes on all the planes around you, and somehow, my eyesight pretty much almost killed me because I somehow almost turned in front of a plane that was on downwind. I turned an early crosswind, I guess, and probably didn't see the plane. I just somehow didn't see it clearly because of my degraded eyesight, flying at night. And a lot of times at night, the city lights below the horizon, if you're above an aircraft, it's really easy for them to blend in together, especially depending on the parallax angle. It doesn't look like it's moving all the time, depending on your angle of it. And long story short, I didn't even know what happened. I didn't even know what happened. I didn't even know it. I landed, and I think the control tower said something like, you need to go back to the ramp, which is what they call like the parking area. You need to go back to the ramp and, I don't know, see your flight supervisor or something. And so I did all this. I still didn't really know what was happening. And I was told that like I almost hit another plane, pretty close. The small planes don't have what's called TCAS. It's all see and avoid. And, that's kind of the weakness in this whole see and avoid thing too, is that you can see an aircraft right now, but that doesn't mean you're going to see it in 10 more seconds, especially if you're like looking around and doing things. And so it's a hard day for people that have done this, especially airline people, because we all know people that have not made it. And there's been other times too that I won't get into now, but there's been several times that if things went slightly differently, I would not be here. I would have been gone 15, 20 years ago. And so whenever these things happen, it definitely like triggers a lot of those older thoughts. But yeah, was it 13 minutes? I just hope this is an honest investigation. I hope they don't get influenced by Trump, and not even just Trump, but whatever dark forces are operating behind him, whether it's organized crime, outside foreign influences. We should be able to travel around our country and feel safe. It's actually in our Constitution. I don't remember the exact wording, but freedom of movement is one of our constitutional rights. And I can't in good conscience tell anybody that if they get on an airplane right now, they're 100% safe. I haven't flown since 2018, late 2018. And I will be honest, it's because I've been afraid of this being a ticking time bomb for a long time. I hoped I was being doomer or something, but I'm afraid this is just the tip of the iceberg, and things that we've taken for granted that are reasonably safe is not going to be safe for much longer. And not even just because of technical problems, but let's face it, I think the Washington Tower had, I just saw that they only had one controller on duty when there should have been two. They had just received that email the day before about getting a buyout. So they're worried about their jobs. They have a million things on their mind. Every pilot that you would fly on their plane, every pilot, every air traffic controller that's going to work your flight along the way, which is like, I would say between 5 and 10, depending on how long your flight is. They're worried sick because they don't know how they're going to support their families if things keep going the way they're going. And don't think for a second that that doesn't impact your safety. Just think about how you felt over the last couple weeks, and then imagine having to go to work and separate traffic in the air, which is already it's already the most stressful job, really, and it's always been the most stressful job. And now imagine all the stress we have just from living life, and add that on top of that. I'm surprised it took this long, honestly. Like, it says a lot about the people in the industry and their ability to compartmentalize. I used to be good at that. I think in a lot of ways it caused my mental issues. That's another issue. Yeah, well, let's have to see what happens. And I'm not optimistic, but I'm hoping I'm wrong. I tend not to be wrong, unfortunately. I hate when I'm right about things like this, but just have to hope for the best and realize that we're in a different world now. We can't rely on these old sayings like it's the safest air travel system ever, for some of the reasons I've already mentioned. We can't take that at face value anymore. I think that's irresponsible, and this is just the beginning, I think. And anyway, I think that's enough for now. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, subscribe. Nice comments only, please. I would welcome those. And see you on the next one. Bye.